Okay, in today's video I'm going to pull apart the case of a SEIKO 6159 tuna style diver. These ones are usually called the grandfather tuna because they were pretty much the first one, and they have several components to the case. So just on the side there, we're looking at the shroud. So the shroud is originally titanium and it's coated with a ceramicized coating. It sort of feels like paint, but it's kind of rough, and it's got a ceramic stuff in there. So you'll see the case is titanium as well. So the whole thing's titanium. It's a monocoque case, so everything comes through the front. And you can see there the bezel, also titanium, and the bezel insert is kind of a funny thing. It's that's actually one of the screws that we're looking at right there. The original screws are kind of a funny crosshead one. They're titanium as well. Often on these they've been replaced by some other screw. So just back to the bezel for a sec. So it's I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's got the numbers and stuff actually printed on a layer of, I think it's aluminium, and then it's coated over the top with a resin or something like that, which reduces the amount of damage that you can do. So I'm just trying to remove the shroud now. These usually have a lot of dirt under the shroud, so it's really hard to get off. And I'm just trying to pull it off with my fingers because we're trying to be delicate here. And you can see there the polished edge just under the shroud, and there it is. So you can see heaps of dirt there. That keeps them stuck. So when pulling them off, you have to be really careful. Excuse me. Quite often the bezels on these watches are damaged in some way. So either the coating's damaged or the bezel itself is cracked. If it is damaged, if you're looking at buying one and the bezel's damaged, I'd probably steer. The shroud's damaged. I'd probably steer clear and look for a better one. The shroud's impossible to get. So unless you know someone who can repair the metal and then get the ceramicized coating put on, it's way too difficult to find one. So you can see that coating there. It's kind of got like a textured finish to it, and there's definitely plenty of dirt there. And I'm just turning the case around so you can see the lugs there as well. They're very short. And now you can see the front. So quite often these have got the loom has gone a bit cream. I wouldn't re-loom these if really at all. The loom's applied to the dial via pad printing, so if you try to do it by hand, it just doesn't get the same sort of appearance. So that's another thing with these. If you're buying one, to look at the condition of the dial. If the dial's pretty bad, don't touch it because they're just way too hard to sort out. If hands are missing, I'd give it a skip as well, or if hands have been replaced, I'd pass on it. It's just way too hard to find parts for them. So I'm just removing the bezel there, and that generally comes off pretty easily on these. And you can see there's a gasket inside there. The gasket inside this one would have been hard as a rock, so that'll need replacing. You can see the crenellations underneath that the clipboard rides on. And you can just see as well there the gasket wasn't actually installed correctly, so it's been pinched probably for 20 years, which would have made the bezel pretty hard to operate. And you can see the clipboard right at the top there at 12 o'clock, and just the marks that the crenellations from the bezel leave on the case. And that just comes from vibration. It gets a bit of dirt in there, and then it vibrates and leaves those marks on the case, but they're nothing really to worry about. So you can see the construction of the case there. So the crystal and the movement are held in by a ring. I'm not actually going to remove. I haven't removed that ring on camera because it's just way too difficult to do on camera. So I've taken it away and done it. Now these rings can be very difficult to remove. I'd suggest not ever removing them with like a Jaxa style tool. You're going to need to go to one of the larger case back style removers and do it very carefully. Titanium to titanium threads, which is what these are, they're quite delicate and you can mess them up really easily. And also trying to remove it with a Jaxa tool is just a sure way to damage it. So you can see there the crystal's got a little, I think it's Delrin ring. It's either Delrin or nylon, and that is what pushes the crystal down into the seal, and that interfaces with that ring. So you can see there I've just removed the crystal, and you can see the crystal seal there. And this is easily one of the best ones of these I've ever seen. Probably one of the best ones in the world. So you can see that the hands are nice and bright. It is running at the moment. I can't really stop it from running without getting in there. But yeah, you can see there the construction. So the crystal gasket is a standard L-shaped gasket, and the crystal's a funny shape. You can see it's got that lip there. And they're a bit of a headache to replace if they're damaged. So that lip is what is pressed down by the ring, the screw-in ring. You can see it's 4 and a bit mils thick, so it's quite thick. And there's quite a deep bevel on there as well. And I'm just pointing at that that little recess there. And I'm just going to pull the watch back over now. Now that chapter ring, that's actually plastic. And from memory, I mean, I recorded this quite a while ago, so yep, that's right. So that seal just drops in there, and then you have the chapter ring, and that's the shape of the seal. So it's just a standard L-shaped gasket. I think the part number is EK3310 or something like that. They're still available, although if it hasn't been damaged, you can always reuse those. That one was in pretty good condition, so we're going to put that one back in after it's been cleaned. And now we're back on the movement there, and you can see where the stem release is. And you can see there as well, there's an additional gasket which sits inside the movement there. And I don't remember if I'm going to drop that down or not. Yep, looks like I am. So that actually goes there and presses down on the movement and is basically keeps it in place and acts as a shock absorber. And that's the chapter ring there. So when I take that away, you can actually see the stem release, which I'm just going to do now. Just that little tab there. And you push that down and then pull the stem out. You can easily damage the dial here, so you've got to be very careful. There we go. And the stem's out. So you can see the stem is a standard sort of SEIKO divers construction stem. So it's multiple parts, but the crown's a big one for these. Okay, so that about wraps this up. So the next video I'm going to pull apart the movement, and we'll have a look at this one in a bit more detail.